Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me. Let's take it slow. Ask me how we got here, 'cause you don't know how. You say we're taking on water, yeah, we're sinking now. You're looking all concerned, like we're gonna drown. But we both know how to swim, no worries, let's flow for now. Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow.
What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another Manchester City live stream. Today we're going to be doing my transfer show with yours truly, JSGC, speaking about all the things in the last week involving Manchester City on the transfer scene, including having massive updates on Ederson and Kevin De Bruyne. So before we do crack on with this live stream, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, please do leave a thumbs up. That would be much appreciated. We are aiming for 200 likes, so any help towards that would be great. Also, don't forget as well to go and leave your thoughts in the comments below if you're watching this after the stream. Live chat is rolling. We've got Brian in the chat, Luan, Gimiar, J. Claus, Hype as well. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Much appreciated, and welcome to everybody tuning in live as well. Good morning to everybody here in the United Kingdom and everywhere else where everyone is tuning in from. Also, don't forget as well to go and check out my social media links. They're in the description if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorship for any videos or any general business inquiries. Finally, do go and check out today's video sponsor, which is brought to you by SofaScore. Remember, SofaScore are going to be keeping you guys up to date with all the latest football scores ahead of the European Championships quarterfinals happening today, and also heading into the quarterfinals and beyond in the Copa America, as well as keeping you guys up to date with all the latest scores from all the sports that you guys all love to follow, all in one place, all in one app. It is a free app to download. Links and details there in the description. You can also use the QR code on screen. I've put the link in the live chat as well. That'll take you to the download page to download the free SofaScore app. Very highly rated, so do go and check it out. Got my promo video, which I'm going to roll for you guys in just 1 second. Then we're going to speak all things Manchester City transfers. Thank you very much there to SofaScore for sponsoring this video. Much appreciated. As I said, do go and check them out. Links and details, they are in the description. So Hype says, Ben Chilwell joining us I don't reckon so, if I'm being honest. Siobhan, thanks for tuning in. Good morning to you. DJ, thanks for tuning in. Seymour, good morning. Thank you for tuning in as well. Margareta, thanks for tuning in. Adam, thanks for tuning in. Gareth as well, tuning in. My plant's just in the way, so I'm just reading it. Tuning in from Pontypridd in South Wales. Always look forward to your videos. Gareth, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you. Whoops. For your kind comment there. And Freaky, thanks for tuning in. Says, what are we doing selling Gomez for £7.5 million? A £5 million loss. No left back's going to come in for under £10 million. Kevin De Bruyne looks like leaving, and we're going to do nothing. He knows the Euros are going on, but we're not even getting linked with anybody. That's a pretty good summary, actually, from Freaky there. So, kudos there. Right, so we'll address them talking points. I like to interact with the chat. So, firstly, we'll address Sergio Gomez. He looks set to join Real Sociedad on a permanent deal, €9 million, which is translated as £7.5 million. City were looking for €15 million, so around £12-13 million. So, City accepting £5 million less. They have got a 15% sell-on fee included on there, so they may get a little bit of money back. So if they sell Gomez on for, let's say, £10 million, then Man City will get a further £1.5 million. So that £7.5 million deal becomes a £9 million deal. Man City also have the option of a buyback clause. Now, I think a lot of this comes down to Real Sociedad wanted him on loan. Sergio Gomez wanted Real Sociedad only, and this shows the importance of a player selecting and wanting to join one team only. A lot of the time when Man City are getting linked with players, we need players to do what Sergio Gomez has done to join Real Sociedad. It really puts the ball into the court of the team wanting to buy the player rather than the selling club. And if Man City, in this case, are happy to sell for under what they would consider his value, but Gomez is willing to go, then happy days for the buying club and for the player as well. Man City obviously happy to receive a sell-on fee. Maybe the other clubs that were buying him for €15 million weren't going to put on a sell-on fee. Or more importantly, a buyback clause. I presume that Man City will get first dibs on Sergio Gomez if he does end up being a tremendous success at Real Sociedad. And Sergio Gomez is a very, very good player on his day. He just needs a run of games, and him getting that experience in La Liga is good. And him not being on loan in a permanent deal encourages Real Sociedad to utilise him more than maybe if he was on loan, and you start thinking towards the end of the season, it's not really our player, it's not our problem to develop Man City's young players instead. So a loan deal may have made sense, could have sold him for more, settled for less. It's small change for Manchester City, if I'm being honest, and as I said, it's the power of a player choosing where they want to go. So he is going to need to be replaced. We're going to struggle to bring in players for under £10 million to replace him. I've seen just this morning that Theo Hernandez was getting linked with a move to City. You're certainly not going to be picking him up for less than £10 million. So I don't see City exploring that avenue of an expensive player coming in for a replacement for Sergio Gomez. It will be a squad player that Man City will have a look at. It more than likely will be a player that a lot of us haven't heard of before. It will be a player that's very much up and coming, who Man City are happy to utilise in their squad. Maybe Man City will want to look on that left-hand side. Perhaps Joško Gvardio's been exceptional on that left-hand side, hence Sergio Gomez has struggled for a bit of playing time. You have got other good options there. Nathan Ake can cover on that left-hand side, so I wouldn't say it's necessarily too much of an in-demand position that City want to be looking at, but what Gomez did offer was versatility and a good age that Man City could sell on without any real bother, with lots of interest in there. So we could explore that avenue. I mean, we do have João Cancelo if we want it to be really cheap and we can't find a club. You have got a player ready-made. I just don't think City are going to go down that avenue. I reckon it'll be a young player no one's heard of, happy to be versatile, happy to be a squad player, just happy to be at Manchester City, if I'm being honest. So we will see what happens with that. It does take Man City to sell players, to bring players in, and this to me now is the start of this domino effect that's happened. It's already happened in the Premier League. You're already starting to see different moves being made. You're starting to see players being sold by Man City and linked with the exit door, which means in the coming week or two, you're going to start to see players getting linked with a move to Manchester City. And I reckon by the end of July, maybe we'll have signed somebody, maybe not. What Man City will be doing, though, is exploring the market. And I thought it was going to be a pretty quiet summer, maybe one player in and maybe a couple of players leaving, but it's starting to look like it might be a little bit more sinister than that. And we may be looking at maybe 3 or 4 players leaving, and maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4 players coming in. keeping me busy, that is certain to say. Shubon, thanks for tuning in, says Spain, Germany, what do we say? Oh, it's a good game of football, that isn't it? I've been very impressed with Spain, so I'm going for Spain to win that game. Extra time. Don't think it'll go to penalties. 2-1 Spain, knocking the hosts out, is my prediction. Hype says, Anthony Robinson was linked with us, left-back from Fulham. It depends if City are looking at traditional left-backs. We don't really use the full-back system all that much. We prefer players who offer a bit of versatility, players who can maybe play in central midfield or can play left-back, left-wing, or a centre-back or a left-back, or one of them areas. I can imagine City have just been looking for that squad player that's versatile, that can play in 2 or 3 different positions. We seem to be stemming away now from signing traditional players in traditional positions. We'll be looking more towards a versatile player who can do several different positions, who's going to come into the City squad to provide competitive competition for the Manchester City squad as well. So we'll see. Chonia, thanks for tuning in, says Ederson should be replaced by Diogo Costa. We will speak about Ederson in just one moment. Salmon Rakshak, thanks for tuning in, says because of the buyback is why City, I think it's the buyback as well, is why City have chosen to accept less and bring him in. It'll be a cheaper buyback as well with Sergio Gomez for City to accept quite a lot below the value of what we valued Sergio Gomez at, which works for Manchester City. It really does work, because if he is a tremendous success over the next 12 to 24 months at Real Sociedad, then we just have to invest a little bit of money to bring Sergio Gomez back to the club. Let's not forget, as a kid, he was a Manchester City fan. We're starting now to dip into these young players who have been following City for the last 10, 15 years. And these players did support Manchester City growing up. So they have that association with the club. It's a dream come true for them to play for Manchester City. And I'll tell you right now, if Sergio Gomez is very successful at Sociedad and Man City can bring Sergio Gomez back to the club and utilise him around the first team squad, and there's a buyback clause there, Sergio Gomez wouldn't hesitate to return to Manchester City to make that happen. So it's just about keeping an eye on his progress. It could be a Douglas Luiz, it could be an Angelino. We'll have to wait and see. I wish him nothing but the best, though. He's a cracking player with a fantastic attitude. He's got lots of learning to do on the field. Now he's going to get a ton of experience in La Liga. I'm excited to see what he can do, and I wish him all the best. Never say never for him returning back to Man City. In fact, it's more likely for him to return to City than it was if we was to sell him to AC Milan, for example, for 15 million euros with no buyback clause, because I'd say that's pretty much done and dusted. Sergio Gomez won't come back to Manchester City with a buyback. There's always that option. This is what it's about, keeping them options open. Thank you very much to Soliman for tuning in. Much appreciated. Freaky saying we're now needing a left back and a right back. Left back, certainly Sergio Gomez. Depends what happens with Kyle Walker and or Rico Lewis. It's gone very quiet on Rico Lewis being loaned out. I imagine with Sergio Gomez leaving, Rico Lewis stays. So it's all about what happens with Kyle Walker. I spoke in depth about Kyle Walker on last week's transfer show, about comments that he's made during the European Championships towards Jack Grealish and the squad harmony, and Man City's captain coming out with these comments. I've already gone into detail about that. Not really been linked with any moves other than to Saudi Arabia, but it's a lot of hearsay out there rather than anything else. Now, Kayo, is that how you say your name? If I'm mispronouncing, please do let me know, and feel free to correct me. Says, just get a number 2, got to give Ortega a chance, and please buy someone to give Rodri some rest. Bro will lose his legs soon, and that's mentally where I'm at as well. Ortega, we'll speak about the Ortega situation before we speak about Ederson. Ortega signed a new contract at City because he knew full well that Ederson more than likely was leaving City. Rumours have started to come out now anyway, that Ederson had made his mind up by the end of May that he was going to be leaving City. Something wasn't quite right when Man City had put that tifo on display with Bernardo Silva and Ederson. It seems strange that Ederson was on there. Somebody's obviously had let slip that Ederson potentially wants to leave, and interest is coming in from Saudi Arabia, and it could be the last time we see Ederson at the Etihad Stadium, and that's now starting to look like that could well be true. Bernardo Silva has the release clause. You never know what's going to happen, so we'll keep an eye on that, but I do expect Bernardo Silva probably stays at City, which I think is good news. So Ortega knows that Ederson maybe is going to leave and he fancies his chances of signing a new contract to keep him at the club. Only 12 months, as I was saying yesterday in my transfer update, got to be trial period for Stefan Ortega. Acted as Man City's number 2. As far as I'm concerned, he has done a tremendous job as Manchester City's backup goalkeeper to Ederson. He's learned a lot. His distribution has improved. His shot stopping is brilliant. He's a good goalkeeper. Don't be blinded by the FA Cup final and that little mix-up between him and Joško Gvardiol. I don't start saying Joško Gvardiol's a bad player because he had that mix-up with Ortega, and I'm not going to sit here and say Ortega's a bad goalkeeper because he had them mix-ups. It does happen. Ederson obviously doesn't have a lot of errors in him. However, shot-stopping ability, how many times have we seen him face one shot on target all game and the club that we're facing ends up coming away with one goal? There's no such thing as perfection when it comes to goalkeepers. He's a brilliant number 2, and Man City have got to start utilising having squad players being promoted to the first team squad to be given their opportunity. Otherwise, when it comes round to signing squad players are going to start thinking, I don't want to be a Calvin Phillips. I don't want to be a Mateus Nunes, a player that sits on the bench and in 12, 18 months' time, I'm back out the club. It's stalling my career. I don't want that to happen. So Man City do have to start finding ways to utilise these players. And when it comes to goalkeepers, if the goalkeeper's done nothing wrong, as far as I'm concerned, Ortega's done nothing wrong, you give him the chance. And if it's not working, January transfer window, don't even hesitate to start shaking up that goalkeeping situation and sign a goalkeeper, even to next summer. That's why that 12-month extension is so important. If it doesn't work next winter, next summer, you can address the situation again. And if we want to go and spend big on a Diogo Costa or bring a Miagnon in from AC Milan, you've got that option to go and do so. For me, Ortega deserves to be given that opportunity for how well he's done. That save against Tottenham Hotspur, keeping that clean sheet, handed Manchester City the Premier League title. That was the finest of margins between winning and losing the Premier League, and he deserves to be given that opportunity, and I really hope that it works out. If it doesn't, I will wish him all the best, and I will be sitting here saying City need to go out there and spend and bring in a new number 1. In the meantime, if Ederson leaves and you promote Ortega, we're going to need a new number 2. And if we're signing a new number 2 goalkeeper, to me, it's got to be a younger goalkeeper. When we brought Ortega in, he was experienced. Obviously, I think he's 30 years old now. So I'd be looking towards a player closer to 20 than 30. I'd be looking for a goalkeeper that's got a good presence in goal, good with their talking, their communication, a goalkeeper that's good with the shot stopping and got some good distributions in them as well. At the moment, not too many goalkeepers out there being linked with City. One I've really liked, though, is Christos Mandas. I've been keeping an eye on his development at Lazio over in Italy. Greek goalkeeper, just 22 years old. He is a big lad. He's a good goalkeeper, good with his distribution, good with his shot stopping. Affordable, like 10, 15 million pounds, can act as Man City's backup goalkeeper, can learn from Stefan Ortega, can provide competitive competition for him, and crucially, 22 years old, lots to learn, potentially could be long-term Man City's number 1 goalkeeper and could save us millions of pounds in the process. City, normally very good in the transfer market when it comes to this kind of thing. They know what they're doing. They know we can't afford to lose our 2 brilliant goalkeepers in one summer. It can't happen. It won't happen. And it isn't going to happen. So Ederson leaves. He will go to Saudi Arabia is what it's looking like. And Ortega's going to be used as City's new number 1. And we're going to have to bring in a new number 2. And at some point in the next 12 months, if it doesn't work for Ortega, we will start to look at the other goalkeepers. Now, we could take the decision, if we wanted to go out there and dip in the market. €75 million release clause takes Diogo Costa from FC Porto to Manchester City. No word on whether Costa wants that or not. Having a very impressive campaign with Portugal in the European Championships. Miagnon, France goalkeeper, of course, plays for AC Milan. Another very good, very experienced goalkeeper. Could also be another good option for Manchester City if they do want to go for a new number 1. We'll have to wait and see if that's what Manchester City do want to go and do. My understanding, though, and I think what City are going to do, is it'll be a new number 2 rather than a new number 1. Freaky says lots of Harren ball we're going to see in the Germany-Spain game. That Germany-Spain game is going to be a fantastic game of football. It really is. Luan says, João Neves to Manchester City. Not heard anything. It's been very quiet. He was getting linked was it March, April time for City? Guess to the summer window, not really heard anything. In fact, it's very much just been focused on two central midfielders when it's come to it, Bruno G and Joshua Kimmich, and it is now looking like PSG is going to be the club that makes the move for Kimmich, as Freaky does say. So Manchester City, if they do want to go after Kimmich, are going to have to act very quickly. And I was thinking about it overnight, and to me, Kimmich is not the kind of player Man City would go for and under normal circumstances. It does smell of a PSG signing. 320,000 pounds per week wage. He'll want to match that wage and maybe some more at Paris Saint-Germain. Man City don't normally work like that. You've got to work your way up the pay scale, of course, unless you're Erling Haaland, where Man City would go out of their way to make it happen. But who's Erling Haaland? Haaland's then a player that scores 30-plus Premier League goals season upon season. So to do that with Joshua Kimmich it's just not going to happen, if I'm being completely honest. And as much as I would like to have him at Manchester City, because I think he's a brilliant football player, there aren't many players that improve Man City's starting 11, in particular in midfield. Kimmich is one of them players. I think Man City will be looking for someone a little bit younger and probably something more long-term as well, which is where someone like Bruno G would make sense for the right price. I just don't see City going for £100 million for Bruno G, and that release clause is done and dusted. Nothing stops Newcastle asking for a little bit more, but I wouldn't rule anything out. As I said, this is a very interesting little part of the window. We're in that little part now where these big competitions around the globe are coming to an end. Players are starting to go on holiday that have been at these international tournaments. Players that haven't been at the international tournaments are starting to return from their holiday. And within the next 2 weeks, you will have players returning back for pre-season. And Man City's going to head stateside for their pre-season tour. And in an ideal situation, you'd want to at least have one player brought in. If so, Sergio Gomez leaves, you want a replacement brought in the next 3-4 weeks, ready for pre-season so they can showcase what they can do. If we are letting Ederson go, you get that sorted sooner rather than later, and you bring in a goalkeeper so they can have pre-season to allow themselves to settle in. If you want to go and sign Bruno G, you want him signed before the start of the Premier League season so you can start to embed the players into the club to get things sorted. The last thing we want to do is to start addressing serious issues in the squad very late into the summer transfer window. We do start to get desperate. You do start to pay a little bit more money. Not normally how City tend to do things. Fine for the squad players. I personally don't have any problem if City don't replace Sergio Gomez until much later in the window, but to me, priority positions have to be, if Ederson leaves, a goalkeeper. Maybe thinking about Kevin De Bruyne, if he does leave, about adding high quality in central midfield. I don't see De Bruyne leaving, by the way. I know he's getting linked with a move to Saudi Arabia, and there were some rumours going around about the personal terms being agreed, but that would just be what Kevin De Bruyne is happy to accept as an offer. It's a big difference between Kevin De Bruyne saying, this is what I'm happy to accept, and I want to make that move. There's a huge hurdle there, and he's going to have to spend weeks thinking about that, and I think Man City will probably want their answer by the end of this month to allow for their preparations for the Premier League season. I don't think we can afford to have a full season of no Kevin De Bruyne replacement, and replacing Kevin De Bruyne is going to be very, very expensive. We need a new number 6, number 8 player to fill that role in the squad as well. Kyle Walker getting no younger, right back to be thinking about. Positive news, though, does look like Savio's going to be staying, so I don't think City will be looking towards right wingers. Kyogo, lots of people speaking about in the chat. Thank you very much to Jessarak. Thanks for tuning in. Says, watching a live of the transfers at 5 a.m. over in the States. That's extreme dedication. So a big shout out there to Jesse. Much appreciated. Adam, thanks for tuning in. Have I seen Alvarez's penalty last night? Superb. Lionel Messi misses his. Julian Alvarez not missing his, though, as Argentina progress in the Copa America. Also got Quackisto. Thanks for tuning in. Says Ortega, number 1. Sounds good to me. It's nice to see a lot of positivity in the chat as well. So a big shout out to all you guys leaving your thoughts in the chat. Much appreciated. Amooko. Samuel, thanks for tuning in, much appreciated. Says City need to start looking towards the younger players. Your João Neves, your Musialas. I'd probably put Florian Wirtz in there as well. If De Bruyne leaves, I'd be looking for a good fee, and these are the players to me that City, these are on the calibre of replacing Kevin De Bruyne, and a Musiala or a Wirtz or a Neves. They don't come cheap. So Man City, if we are letting De Bruyne go, we've got to get a good fee. He's only got a year left on his deal. To me, it makes sense to get De Bruyne onto an extension. I mean, put him on a 2-year extension as far as I'm concerned, ties him down for the next 3 years, and you can just say to him, we'll keep the options open, and if a suitable bid does come in next summer, will sanction the sale. I imagine City probably said something similar to Kyle Walker last summer when he signed a new deal as well. So we'll see. NRG saying we're needing Jeremy Frimpong, being linked in the last week with Manchester City. My problem is he's more of a winger than a right back, and who are you going to play at right back if Kyle Walker goes? You've got John Stones. I think Stones' position is better in the centre of the field rather than on the right-hand side. You've got Akanji, you've got Lewis. Frimpong's probably going to be used more. I mean, do we want to go wing-backs and bomb him forward and have less responsibility defensively? To me, he's got to improve defensively if Man City want to be making that move. I mean, Man City might be happy and say, actually, we think he can improve defensively. We'll bring him in. Joško Gvardiol was a player we brought in. He's normally a centre-back. Started using him on the left-hand side. His ability to get forward brought out the very best in him. And to me, now starting to look like a more well-rounded defender. So there we go. Maxwell says £85 million for Bruno G. Might be enough to get the deal done. Might not. We'll have to wait and see. Room at the top studio says still hoping that Ederson stays. I mean, I hope that Ederson stays. Having Ederson and Ortega here is the best case scenario. Two brilliant goalkeepers. This is always going to be a big summer. I couldn't see how both goalkeepers would stay at the club. Ortega wants to be playing regular first-team football. If he's not going to get that at Manchester City with Ederson here, he's going to leave. He signs a new deal, which means Ederson's more than likely going to leave the club instead. Otherwise, I don't see the point in Ortega signing a new contract. If I was Stefan Ortega and he signed a new contract in the hope that he's going to get first-team football and Ederson signs a new deal, if I'm Ortega, I'd probably be pretty cheesed off because he's just wasted another year of his career. He is too good to be on Man City's bench, but some are going to argue he's not good enough to be Man City's #1 goalkeeper. But he's not being given the chance, and I think with what he's done for City, he deserves to be given the chance to showcase what he can do. Gareth says, Ortega, great goalkeeper, not good with his footwork or not as good as Ederson, but he just fully deserves to have a go at #1. Manchester City won't let him down. Why waste a load of money when we've got Ortega? Completely agree with that sentiment. Spot on with that as far as I'm concerned. He wants Musiala. I'd love Musiala. Is it going to happen? Probably not. Can we dream about it? Most certainly. He's a cracking player, and what a tournament he's having with Germany as well. And each impressive performance he's putting in, I can't help but feel like Bayern Munich are just putting an extra £10 million on top of his already overinflated value as well. Musiala, as Quack says, would be a brilliant Kevin De Bruyne replacement. Says Nico Williams, Yamal would be a good right wing replacement for Riyad Mahrez. We never really got round to replacing him. I mean, we settled on £30 million for Mahrez. I thought that was under his value last summer, and Ederson's getting linked with a move to Saudi Arabia for £30 million, and I can't help but feel like that's a little bit under his value as well. So I'm hoping City are going to learn them lessons and push for or drive a harder bargain when it comes to selling players and ensuring that we're getting maximum value for our money when it comes to our outstanding players that we've got in our outstanding squad, is my opinion on that. Nico Williams and Yamal would be brilliant players. All depends on what we want to do with Savio. Does sound like Savio's going to stay, so do we need a right winger? I'll leave that up to you, for you guys to settle upon. Hype says, who do I reckon is going to be my perfect Kyle Walker replacement? That's a brilliant question. Absolutely brilliant question. It depends. Do you want a defensive player? City don't normally do like-for-like replacements. They normally look for a player that can do a little bit more. I've always been impressed with Akanji on that right-hand side. I think defensively he solidifies Man City's defence. Put him on that right-hand side if Walker was injured. Got no problem with that. But from an attacking perspective, you want a player who's capable of overlapping and getting forward, which is why we've been getting linked with Frimpong, because he's brilliant at doing them overlaps. He's brilliant with his balls across. He's good with his assists. He's good with his feet. He's a good offensive option. You've got the defensive option with Akanji. He could be the offensive option if City wanted to go down that route. We'll have to wait and see. Maxwell's saying Simakan would be a good replacement for Kyle Walker with a £70 million release clause. Freaky saying Newcastle don't want to sell Bruno. Problem, I understand, is they do have to sell. Newcastle, as far as I'm concerned, have met PSR, so they're no longer under that pressure to sell. It all becomes about, does Bruno want that move? And if he does, he's going to have to do what Sergio Gomez has done for Man City. He's going to have to tell Newcastle, I want to move to Manchester City. Nobody else. I want to leave. Please sort that transfer out. If he does that, Man City will sign Bruno G this summer. I'm convinced of it. If he doesn't, City are going to have to move on and look at other alternatives. What are the other alternatives is the big question, though. Nicosi, thanks for tuning in, says, what are my thoughts about using Grealish as a central midfielder and going out there and signing Nico Williams? I think that's maybe something worth sampling in pre-season. Pep will have thought about 1,000,001 ideas about what he wants to do, and he's always looking for his players to offer something a little bit different, like Bernardo Silva does, like Phil Foden does. These players capable of playing out wide and doing a good job, more than capable of playing in central midfield, in attacking midfield, and doing a good job as well. And Jack Grealish could be another good player that's capable of doing that. He's good with his feet, he's good with his passing ability, he's got a good eye for threading things through. He's got, from his track record, Aston Villa anyway, he's got a lot of creativity about him. I think it's certainly worthwhile having a look at through pre-season for a game or two and having him adapt to them roles in training and see how he does. And if you look at it and you think maybe not, then you could go out there and maybe go out and sign somebody else instead. We will again have to wait and see. Freak says 8 years ago today, the GOAT Pep Guardiola arrived to Manchester City. It's been a very quick 8 years, hasn't it? Most certainly. Freaky saying we need a right back that is a centre back out of position who can cross and go forward. We don't ask for a lot, do we? We want somebody who can do everything is what we want, and to pay as little as possible for that kind of player. Hype saying Pedro Porro, Reece James, Frimpong, Kadioglu, all perfect Kyle Walker replacements. If I had to choose one, who would I go for? I would probably go for Frimpong, just because I think he offers something a little bit different to the rest. Reece James is a good player. He's just very injury-prone. I have my concerns about that. It's like Danny Olmo. I think he's a class player. Problem is, he's just very injury-prone. So how often are you going to see them at the club? That's the question. Mamudo saying Pedro Porro. Sean, thanks for tuning in. Good morning to you. Do hope you are well on this fine Friday morning, nearly into the afternoon now. Quack says Grealish should be given more freedom, a freedom role to unlock his full potential like he had at Aston Villa. We spent £100 million on him, so City have obviously seen something. It can't just be a player that plays on the left-hand side and hogs tight to the touchline and that's his job and that's his job alone. There's got to be a little bit more as far as I'm concerned. And I'd like to see a little bit more from Jack Grealish. I think that him missing out on the European Championship squad could just be the kick up the backside that he's been looking for to bring that hunger back from him. I think Jack Grealish, probably more than any other player in the City squad, has really suffered from a treble hangover. Maybe struggled for a bit of motivation, maybe just struggled to apply himself or adapt himself. Maybe he's got a bit complacent. Maybe it's just a mixture of everything. I'm not sure. But I feel like he's got a good attitude, Jack. He's a fantastic person inside and out, and I'm confident that you will see in the next season the very best out of Jack Grealish. I think he'll be really determined to showcase what he can do, so I'm excited. I want to see what Pep's going to do with him. I want to see him do a little bit more. I want to see Jackie G and A's. I want to see him getting goals and assists for Manchester City. I want to see him really making his presence known. He is an experienced player, after all. And we've got lots of young academy players coming through who will be looking up at the likes of Jack Grealish and really looking to try and take inspiration of what kind of player he can be. And it could just be a brilliant little recovery story from Jack Grealish as well. So I wouldn't sell him. I would use him. I would look to try and use him on the left, use him in the centre. Heck, try him on the right-hand side. Who knows? You've got to find ways and means to try and make things work. Maxwell says, Jules Koundé. Good player. Don't see Man City signing him, though. He's a fantastic player, actually. Not just a good player. Adam says, Kyogo can play on the left and on the right. Can play as the 10. Can play up front. Believed to be available for around £20 to £25 million as well. Good shout. Man City haven't really been getting linked with him, though, so I've not seen any anyway at this moment in time. Mahmood says, we're going to need to sign a Bruno G or a Kimmich. He'd prefer for Joshua Kimmich to sign. Kimmich looking like he's probably heading to PSG, unfortunately. B, thanks for tuning in, says Geertruida, a good replacement for Kyle Walker, just as good as Koundé or Simakan, and at half the price as well. And Manchester City's eyes will light up at just half the price as well. Freaky says Bruno says he's open to the move if Newcastle ready to sell, or are they ready to keep him? We'll have to wait and see. Bruno G, I like him, good player, wouldn't pay over the odds for him. I certainly wouldn't drag a saga on all summer for him either. I would, as soon as Brazil either win the competition in the Copa America or they exit out of the competition, just before he heads on holiday, he'll have a day or two to think about it. He's had all summer to think about it. It's no secret of Man City's interest and other clubs' interest in him. I'd just give him a phone call and say, are you interested in this phone call? We need a definite answer, yes or no. If it's yes, we're going to look to try and make a move happen whilst you're away on holiday. If not, we want to look at alternative. You've got to be truthful. We don't want to drag this saga on and then end up not signing him, because I think that would be a disaster for Manchester City. It's a busy summer. We've got players coming and going. We've got players leaving, so we'll have to wait and see. So I am going to end that there for you guys. We've been live for just over half an hour, so I do hope you enjoyed that. We're back again next week with another weekly episode of the Transfer Show. I am going to go and film my daily transfer update as soon as I've ended this stream. So within the next hour and 20 minutes, I will have my daily Manchester City transfer update out for you guys to enjoy as well. Freaky very quickly just asking any updates on McAtee. Man City want to use him in pre-season before they wait to see what happens. Adam says Martin says Bruno isn't happening. Is that Martin Blackburn at the Sun, or is that my favourite Martin from Mancunian Way? As Hype says, do you think that Kovacic and Nunes can be regular starters, or do I think they'll leave this summer? I think Kovacic may be more likely than Nunes. I can see Nunes potentially leaving, in particular with interest coming in from Saudi Arabia. Mahmoud reckons Kimmich coming to Manchester City. Steve, thanks for tuning in, says Savio Nico Williams for the wing, so Foden and Silva can permanently move to central midfield. That's a good shout, actually, from Steve. Thanks for tuning in. So, don't forget, leave a thumbs up. 200 likes is the aim. Do also let me know your thoughts if you're watching this after the stream in the comments below. Who do you want Man City to replace Ederson with? And what other bits of summer business do you want City to do with Sergio Gomez looking like he's on the way out? City looking at central midfielders, maybe looking at wide attacking players as well. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget as well to subscribe. Now less than 800 subs away from my goal of 37,000 subscribers. Also, don't forget as well, social media links, they're in the description if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. B says Grealish to midfield, sign Nico Williams. It's a good shout, quite possibly. Blue Winger says Nico Williams would be a sick signing for Manchester City, and Mahmoud saying Bayern Munich legend Joshua Kimmich reportedly determined to join Manchester City ahead of the 2024-2025 campaign as a German star looks to bring his time in the Bundesliga to an end. What source have you got that from, Mahmoud? Just let me know in the chat, and I'll give an update on that on my daily transfer update. I'm going to be speaking more about Joshua Kimmich and more. Also, don't forget as well to go and check out today's video sponsor, SofaScore. Links and details there in the description. Remember, going to keep you guys up to date with all the latest scores ahead of the European Championships, the Copa America, all coming to the conclusions, and ahead of the new Premier League season and the football season as as well, and also going to keep you guys up to date with all the latest scores from all the sports that you guys love to follow, all in one place, all in one app. It is a free app to download. Links and details there in the description, also in the live chat, and also using the QR code on screen. So do go and check that out. That would be much appreciated. Mahmoud says posted by Darren Looney. I'll go and check that out. Sudard, thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated as well. So I'm just going to roll my SofaScore promo video, and then we'll end the stream there for you guys. And I will see you for my daily transfer update in around 80 minutes time. Thank you so much to SofaScore for sponsoring this video. Do go and check them out. Links and details there in the description. And I will see you all again real soon. So I've been JSGC. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in today and interacting with me. I'll see you for my daily Manchester City transfer updates in the next hour and a bit. Or I will alternatively see you for the next transfer show episode next week for you guys. Excuse me, to enjoy, so I will see you then. So I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope everyone is safe and well, and I do hope that everyone has a fantastic weekend as well. Peace. Ciao for now.